London office at the end of 2008. Very cheerful time to move in here.
Yeah, a number of people have questioned our timing and our decision to do that. We're as per the introduction, we're an old firm, and we've only had one office ever in New York, and it took us a number of years of consternation and hand-wringing to finally make the decision to open an office here in Europe and to essentially replicate the business that we have in providing primarily M&A and capital raising advice to media and communications businesses here in the UK and continental Europe. Frankly, I mean, the fact is that we've come at a pretty good time because we're in a position where we can be patient and grow the business over the next couple of years. There's obviously a lot of chaos in the financial services business right now, and there's a lot of need for advice from anyone from sort of well-established corporate clients to young entrepreneurial businesses. So our timing on the one level was questionable. On the other hand, and I'm fairly optimistic. Obviously, I think it was well timed, or we were fortunate, I should say. A couple of points I would make to add to what Nick and Michael have said. I think that the economic sort of downturn or crash or whatever you want to call it that's happened over the last 9 months is fundamentally different from the one that we had in 2000 and 2001, where, and I'm simplifying a little bit here, that one was led by a loss of confidence in the technology and interactive sector, and the economics and profitability potential of a lot of businesses that got funded in 98, 99, and 2000, and ultimately. Their earnings history was reflected as they were digested into public companies, and there was a breakdown, and we had a market downturn that lasted a year and a half, and we grew out of it. This one has been caused by a more old-fashioned breakdown in the sort of traditional financial services business, where there was irresponsible lending, and it led to a leverage-driven crash. And what that it's done for everyone in this room and the sort of technology, interactive, entrepreneurial space is, along with every other sector of the economy, it's just caused a contraction. What I would say about venture money and availability of capital, in good times, a lot of venture capital firms could get started and raise money, and there was just a lot more money it's fairly simple. It's a cyclical business, as Nick said. There's a lot more. There were more firms that were able to write checks, and there was just a great deal more liquidity out there. And now, the cycle is reflecting, or the availability of capital is reflected by the cycle. But I'll point out that a number of the venture firms that have been in the business for a long time and have track records that have kept them in the business for a long time. And I'm thinking here of in the Valley, Mayfield, USVP, here in the UK, Index, Accel, and others have actually raised funds over the last 6 months. And just as it is for entrepreneurs, it's a challenge in this kind of market to go out and raise money for them as it is for an entrepreneur. Nevertheless, they were able to attract institutional money from their investors, and they are deploying it. Their deals getting done. My point of view is, as I see the deals that are getting done right now, you're seeing many more. You're seeing money flow to businesses that can articulate a path to monetization and commercializing their product succinctly and directly, rather than more conceptual businesses. Although, Twitter is an example of what I would say is a conceptual business where there's obviously great power in the real estate that they have and their user base.
And no business model.
Well, I think they're struggling to figure out what their business model is, but one would argue with the kind of usage they have that they're going to be able to do something. But you're right. It's still, as I would say, conceptual. And the only other thing I would add is that in terms of IPO and exits, there have been. OpenTable IPO'd a couple of weeks ago and has traded well in the aftermarket. By no means is the IPO window open, but there was demand for for that company in the public securities market, and eventually the IPO market will reopen, which is going to be good for venture. And in the corporate, kind of boardrooms and front offices, at the people who make the decisions on the M&A side for companies like, pick your company, News Corporation, Viacom, Vivendi, there's still a fair amount of paralysis as their sort of core businesses are struggling, and the ability to make a decision to go out and acquire a business that's speculative relative to their core businesses is a difficult thing to persuade a CEO and a board to do. And if you think if you're the head of M&A at one of those companies, you're taking a lot of risk just in terms of how the cultures of a lot of these companies by doing that. So that paralysis is going to need to unwind, and what's inevitably going to happen, and what's happened in the past, is one of them is going to make an acquisition, and all of a sudden there'll be a scramble to catch up if that acquisition is well received in the market.
Okay. By the way, who's heard of TED here? Yeah. So TED's on right now. I just got to tell you, I've just had a tweet here. I put a picture of you guys on Twitter, and somebody has said, "Are these the people who couldn't afford TED?" So maybe you're not quite as prosperous as you're all claiming. Let's just go along here and find out, what real life investment decisions you've made. Can I ask each of you, what was the last business you put money into, and if you're not prepared to tell us that, what notable deal have you seen done in the UK over recent months? So Nick, what?
So easy one for us. We announced an investment in Graze.com, a food e-commerce business, last week.
And what does that? What kind of business? What does that tell you about in terms of valuation and everything about where you're at the moment?
So we're not going to disclose the
terms
of the deal.
Oh, go on.
That we really paid a high price or really paid a low price,
right?
But it tells you that for good companies, deals are still getting done, and it's a great little business showing some great revenue growth with a novel concept in a potentially huge market. And and plus we knew that the team there, the founders, are from Love Film, which is another company we backed in the past. And when you see those sorts of combinations, you want to get involved. You really do.
So experience is something that's being looked for. In the last dot-com bubble, it seemed people would give you money if you were under 25 and knew nothing. This time.
There's two. Love Film, as many of you will know, is a business that's come together from the merger of a number of smaller companies. And so the chairman is a guy called Will Reeve, who is the founder of one of the contributing companies to Love Film. He's a guy in his 40s.
I met one of the original funders here tonight, I think. Anyway, we're moving on.
And the chief exec is a guy called Graham Bosher, who is much younger, I think 27, 28. And he's really been the driving force behind Graze. So he's got some great experience, but he's still a young guy, very much so.
So one quick example. Have you had time, Michael, yet to take this enormous fund that you've assembled with Brent Hoberman, etc., and fling it at anybody?
Fling it? We do strategic flings.
Yeah, strategic flinging.
Yeah.
I noticed your phone ringing just there. That's probably
that was my dad.
Oh, right. And you're not funding him.
He wants another investment.
It's the Bank of Son rather than the Bank of Dad. But you've done one.
We did do one, yeah. So as part of Pro-Founders Capital, we did an investment in TweetDeck because it had the word tweet in it, so it must be a good idea.
Right. That's interesting. I've got it here. I mean, what's the business model there?
We're going to wait for Twitter to come up with one and then follow them.
Right.
Yeah.